Greetings and welcome to this part of Let's Play Buried in Time, the Journeyman Project 2. Alright, so we've had the Agent 5 breaks house arrest and the Louvre auction. Let's go to the symbiotic technology discussions.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
Of course.
La peinture fraîche.
Jote Latzande. Sasta Gorscht.
If you hadn't understood those important messages, you would have just
Wet Pain.
screwed up your best suit,
The Clippity Venve.
driven off of a cliff,
Cheap Meat.
been poisoned,
Restaurant smoking in lobby.
and peed your pants on a foreign planet. Yes, for all those reasons and more, there's the Omniglot DM dual-mode translator biochip from Samco. Just pop the Omniglot DM into any standard biotech interface and voila! No more frustration, no more confusion. The Omniglot DM instantly translates the written and spoken forms of any known language. It does it all! The Omniglot DM translator biochip from Samco. Get it today!
Samco Translator Biochip available at Frugal's and other fine stores for a low price of $199.90 or order over ShopNet. Product order code 689-22378. That's 689-22378. Order now.
Well, at least that seems useful.
The heads of ministry will continue to meet with Symbiotree representatives today in the Assembly Hall of the United Ministry Complex. These talks were requested by several member races as a forum in which to discuss the place of time travel technology in the symbiotree of peaceful beings. Today marks the beginning of the third week of negotiations, yet there is still no end in sight. Sarah Michaels is standing by at the United Ministry Complex with a report.
And that's the timer I've got set.
Thank you, Mark. The main factor protracting the discussions is the inability of the symbiotree to decide what should be done with the technology. The representatives have formed three distinct factions whose strongly opposing views have caused them to remain tenaciously entrenched in a deadlock. While one group believes we are committing the unforgivable act of hoarding a vital technology, a second supports the symbiotree tenet that each race has sovereignty over its own technologies. The third contingent, which has grown in strength since the arrest of Agent 5, contends that time travel represents a threat to every race of the symbiotree and should be destroyed altogether. Even though most attending races strongly disagree with humanity's sole ownership of the technology, our heads of ministry refuse to acknowledge their arguments, citing its inevitable misuse as their foremost concern. Therefore, barring symbiotree action, it is unlikely that the status of time travel as a proprietary technology of Earth will change.
Right. So basically, the Space UN is arguing whether or not what to do with time travel. Well, as long as the status quo remains, I suppose nothing is really wrong. Right, let's hear the appeal for sharing.
The opinion originally held by the majority of races represented at the talks is that time travel technology is an invaluable tool for self-discovery and, as such, should not be denied to any race. However, the Loxoni abandoned this position last week in favor of destroying the technology. Presumably, this sudden change of opinion was due in large part to the arrest of Agent 5, an unfortunate illustration of the danger of time travel. The Dorlun and Zhang Trakar, on the other hand, have continued to cling tightly to their convictions. They're of the opinion that this technology is far too important to be buried because of paranoia. Time travel, the Zhang Trakar argue, is like any other powerful tool. It represents a danger only if the user doesn't have the insight to take the proper precautions. And if care is taken, there should be no reason whatsoever to fear what should be the greatest advance the symbiotree has ever known.
how easy it is to create an alien race with just a few text marks, like the umlaut. Or even worse, the apostrophe.
Perhaps Brandon Farlink, the Darloon emissary, stated the feelings of these two races most eloquently. At long last, he said, we can all be in touch with our pasts. Each race can now know the truths of its history. No longer must time be wasted with painstaking research and endless conjecture, only to arrive at an uncertain understanding of the events that shaped history. The answers, all the answers, lie within our reach if only we have the will to grasp for them.
Right, so that's the appeal for sharing. The appeal for denial.
Despite being recently abandoned by the Kryn, two of humanity's staunchest supporters, the Sarolans and the Tsar, have continued to defend our right to autonomy over time travel technology. Like those that favor dismantling it, these two races would rather leave their past buried than risk losing it altogether. But unlike the others, the Sarolans and Tsar believe that humanity harbors a maturity beyond its years and can be entrusted with preserving the sanctity of history.
Well, that's kind of high praise. Oh, I suspect maybe there are ulterior motives from the Sarolans.
In fact, they suggest that our closeness to our violent past makes us even better suited to manage time travel, as the dire consequences of the misuse of technology still stain our racial memory. Unfortunately, theirs is a minority opinion. The prevailing response to this argument is that Earth's record with time travel speaks for itself. In just 10 years, there have already been incidents of deliberate historical sabotage, the latest of which allegedly involving an agent of the Temporal Security Agency. Our benefactors, however, dismiss the Elliott, Sinclair, and Gage Blackwood incidents as aberrant acts by disturbed individuals rather than a weakness of humanity as a whole. And they ask, as a sign of good faith and trust in the newest member of the symbiotree, that the future of time travel technology be left to our discretion.
Right, and the appeal for dismantling?
The third viewpoint, which was originally held only by the Unwa, is that the existence of time travel technology represents a threat to the history of every race in the symbiotree. For this reason, these races feel that all existing time machines should be completely dismantled. Following the arrest of Agent 5, the Loxoni changed their allegiance from petitioning for the release of time travel technology to requesting its destruction. They were joined by the Kryn, for whom this represents a break in their long-standing tradition of fervently supporting every race's right to sovereignty over its own technologies. The Loxoni now proclaim that if not destroyed, the technology must at the very least be put in the safekeeping of an elder race of the symbiotree. They cite security as their main concern.
Right, like who can you trust?
Like the others that share their goal, they feel that humanity lacks the necessary discretion to control such a powerful tool. As a side note, it should be mentioned that the Loxoni themselves are among the eldest races of the symbiotree.
Sounds a little bit self-serving then. Well, what are the results of the negotiations?
Despite the arguments made by the symbiotree envoys, the general opinion of the heads of ministry so far appears unswayed. Michael Rozhenko of the Northwest Asia Collective rebutted that the danger of time travel falling into the wrong hands and being used to change history, however slight, is still too great to even consider releasing the technology. It it must be realized that time travel has not only the power to unlock the secrets of history, but also unparalleled potential for destruction. Few could argue that it would be foolish to give such a tool to anyone, regardless of its intended use. On the other hand, it's also too late for it to be destroyed, as was pointed out by Chancellor of Law Rick Allen, when he stated that the technology has already been created and can therefore be recreated. Chancellor Allen emphasized his point by attesting that if all known time travel technology were destroyed and a new time machine built without government knowledge or approval, there would be no way to intervene in the actions of the illicit time traveler. He would have free rein to rewrite history to his liking. Unfortunately, such scenarios are all too likely, as was proven by the Elliott Sinclair incident and the current trial of Gage Blackwood.
Well, seems all this has really put a dent in the relationship of Earth in the symbiotry of peaceful beings. Alright, now the Sinclair incident 10 years later. I suppose it's only natural that you recount such stories when stuff like this happens.
The events surrounding the arrest of Agent 5 bring back, for most, memories of the Elliott Sinclair incident. That historic day 10 years ago could have turned out much differently if it weren't for Agent 5 of the Temporal Protectorate. After building the first ever functional time machine, only to have the government shelve the project because it was considered too dangerous, Sinclair decided to sidestep the politicians and build his own temporal transporter. Years later, when the Sirolans made contact with Earth to offer us a place in the symbiotry of peaceful beings, the xenophobic scientist suddenly found himself with a new purpose. Fearing an alien invasion, he tried to convince the public that the Sirolans were not what they appeared to be. But this endeavor met with little success. Frustrated, exasperated, and on the verge of insanity, Sinclair formulated a plan to make Earth a more difficult target for the Sirolans. On the day of the Sirolan ambassador's arrival, he sent each of his 3 robot minions back in time to change the course of history. The first he sent to create a nuclear scare that would prevent world unification and prolong the Cold War. The second was to destroy the Morimoto Mars colony and make it look like the work of an alien race. And the third Sinclair sent to kill Dr. Enrique Castillo, the individual who was most influential in convincing humanity of the benefits of joining the symbiotry. His backup plan, should his robots have failed, was to assassinate the Sirolan delegate. It was our good fortune that Agent 5 was on duty at the Temporal Security Annex that day. He detected the temporal distortions, stopped each of the androids, and then apprehended Sinclair himself. That fateful morning made a hero of Agent 5 and spawned the blockbuster holoflick, The Journeyman Project. Elliott Sinclair was put on trial and found guilty of all charges. He was sentenced to life imprisonment on Vega Thalon and hasn't been heard from since.
Oh well. Right, we're all caught up. I feel like doing some shopping. No real other purpose than having anything you can take with you in an adventure game like this. And to do that, we must go to our own personal replicator, turn it on, and then go to the shop net. Right, now to enter the passcode, which I don't think you can do by hand. Oh, you can. Right, so first Let's get the video chip. Alright. Back to the menu, another shop net. Cheese. Girl. And of course the most important item, the translation chip. And then go to the post box, grab the signal, replicate it, hey voila. And that's how you buy things in the future. Right. And now the rest, the cheese girl. Cheese girl. Processed cheese food spread is made from two separate chemicals which mix when forced out of the pressurized can, coagulating into a non-toxic cheese-like substance. Yuck. Warning. Contents under pressure. Risk of inadvertent propulsion in zero-G environments. Alright. And the translate biochip. Samco Translate Biochip is capable of translating both written and spoken forms of every known language. Simply pop it into your biotech interface and click the activate button. The Samco Translate chip does the rest. Samco, guaranteed for life. In case of malfunction, call this number. Right. Now onto the desk, where I saw some papers. Because I've heard a lot of stuff, but I haven't actually heard any reports from Agent 5 himself about what really happens, if there was anything wrong during his missions. Because after all, if there was something wrong in his missions, he would have been the first one to notice, wouldn't he? Which is where these papers come in. The 28th of July, 2329. For the past few jumps I've been experiencing a vague, dizzy sort of feeling when I time travel. It's almost like something hovering just beyond the reach of my consciousness. Like a word on the tip of my tongue. And then the feeling goes away as soon as I get to where I'm going. I've never heard of anyone experiencing this before, so I'm afraid that I might be developing some new kind of time travel disease, or maybe a sensitivity to it. Not that I'm surprised, no one's ever proven that time travel is entirely safe. We're the guinea pigs. Well, whatever it is, I can only hope it doesn't get any worse. If it does, I'll have to let Charles know. 15th of August, 2329. I don't understand it. The coordinates of the station were supposed to be accurate to within a millimeter. Somehow I just ended up floating in space where the station had been an hour earlier. Unless the location and velocity data were wrong, I don't know how they could have been so badly miscalculated. They said they took everything into account, down to the most negligible effects on its velocity by any bodies within 1,000 light years of it. I could see the station drifting out there, but I couldn't get to it. The suit doesn't have any kind of thrusters. Pause. TSA protocol says to scrap a mission if something unpredictable happens, but this is obviously just an error in calculation. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to find a way to get to the station. But if I go into the TSA looking for a thruster, someone might wonder what's up. So it looks like I'll have to get creative. 15th August 2329. I came up with a pretty cheesy idea for propelling myself to the space station. I still can't believe it actually worked. Not that it matters. Even after... Oops. Even after... Even after getting in, I kept running into barriers. No oxygen, no gravity, jammed doors, and here's the kicker. I heard a voice. Should it have been anyone there? Whoever it was saw me and told me to get off the station. Actually, I'm not sure he saw me so much as detected my presence. But still, I had no choice. I had to abort. It's a miracle I didn't cause a ripple. Maybe because whoever it was died up there before coming into contact with another human being. But I can't help but think, what if it was Fonstein? Did he live longer than we believe? The station was obliterated. How could he have survived? Pause. Or could the stories be true? Might it have been an artificial life form that he created? I can't escape the irony. I went there to learn the truth, but the truth is what forced me away. Sigh. Maybe this is a sign that some things are meant to remain unknown. The 1st of September, 2329. I don't know about my luck these days. It happened again! When I got to Gaia, there was someone standing right in front of me, looking out over the tower wall. He spun around the second he heard the displacement effect. There wasn't a thing I could do. Before he could even draw his sword, an arrow came over the wall and hit him in the back. Lucky for me, I guess. He would have killed me. Can you imagine the distortion that would have caused? I should have created a huge one as it was. I guess we're just damn lucky, and the area would have hit him anyway. I don't get it. The jump location is supposed to be scanned with a fine-tooth comb. How could they have not noticed? I'd like to hear the explanation for this one. And then I go to watch Philip Augustus's men climbing up through the guard rope, and when I get there, all I see is the grappling hook they left behind. The whole reason I was sent there was to document how the castle fell, and they got me there too late for it. I know it's difficult to distill accurate information from historical accounts, but this is twice in as many missions. I guess I'm going to have a little talk with the guys in research before I end up materializing in the middle of a Shriners convention. The 6th of September, 2329. On my last job, the strange feeling that I've been experiencing during time travel became a little more tangible. I became aware of a faint, almost imperceptible ghost image of my jumpsuit floating slightly out of phase with myself. I'm assuming there's a glitch in the suit circuitry. The time phase synchronizes, probably malfunctioning. That should worry me, but I'm actually relieved. At least now I know there's nothing wrong with me. I'm going to have Bill run a diagnostic on my suit tomorrow. Right. And that's all there is to know. Alright, I've gone over time, way over time. So, I will see you all next time.